The sawdust smell clung to me as I locked up the workshop, the sun dipping low over Meadow Hills. It had been a good day, carving a table for Mrs. Lee, hands steady with the chisel, but I was beat, ready to crash with Jess at home. She'd been on leave from the Army Reserves, tough as nails after drilling recruits all month, and I'd planned to cook her stew, maybe steal a kiss by the fire. I tossed my tools in the truck, humming off key, when my phone buzzed, her name flashing, and my gut twisted. Jess didn't call unless it was big. I answered, leaning on the tailgate. "Hey babe, what's up?" Her voice hit like a punch, sharp, mad, shaking with fury. "Tom, these fake-ass HOA police just cuffed me, dragged me out of our house over some $100 fee. They've got me in a van, bullshit badges, guns too. I'm fine, but pissed. Get me out of this." My heart stopped, the phone slipping in my sweaty hand. "Cuffed you? Jess, what the hell? Where are you?" She was a sergeant, 6 years in, led troops through worse than this, and now some clowns had her locked up? My laid-back carpenter comm shattered, panic roaring in. "Driving, don't know where," she snapped, low and quick, like she was hiding the call. "Two guys, big, loud, fake uniforms. Said I violated yard rules, demanded cash. I told them we've got no HOA. They pulled guns, zip-tied me. I'm working the ties, gonna bust out if I can." A muffled shout cut through. "Shut up back there." And she hissed. "They're sloppy, armed though. Tom, move fast. I'll stall em." "Jess, don't do anything crazy," I yelled, but the line went dead, a beep slicing her off. I stood there, chest heaving, sawdust clouding around me as my world flipped. Fake HOA police. Arresting my wife. She'd faced insurgents, trained soldiers. Nobody took Jess down easy. Yet they had her, cuffed, hauled off, and my blood boiled, hands itching to smash something, preferably their faces. I jumped in the truck, engine roaring, tires spitting gravel as I peeled out. Meadow Hills was quiet. No fancy rules, no HOA crap, just a small town where we'd built our life. Jess had picked it after her last deployment. 2 years ago, a cozy house with a big yard, perfect for her to unwind. I'd fixed the porch, she'd planted herbs, and now these fakes had stormed in, snatched her over a lie. I slammed the wheel, cursing $100. We'd never gotten a notice, never owed a dime. My phone shook in my hand as I dialed her again. Straight to voicemail, her tough laugh on the recording. "Leave it, I'll call back." I growled, tossing it, and floored it home. 10 minutes, too long, my mind racing. She'd said guns, armed frauds, not just talkers. Jess could fight. Hell, she'd pin me sparring, but zip ties in a van? My gut screamed she was in deep, and I wasn't there, hadn't been there, to stop it. I skidded into our driveway, the house dark, front door ajar. Kicked open, splintered where the lock should have held. "Jess!" I yelled, bolting in, but silence answered. Kitchen empty, her coffee mug cold on the counter. Tire marks gouged the lawn, a cheap badge glinting in the grass. HOA police, Meadow Hills enforcement, plastic, fake as hell. I snatched it, fist shaking, and saw her boots scuffed by the door. She'd fought, my soldier, but they'd taken her anyway. Her voice echoed, "I'll stall him." And I clung to it, her fire keeping me sane. She was tough, tougher than me, but guns changed the game. I grabbed my phone, dialing 911, pacing the wrecked porch. "My wife's been kidnapped. Fake HOA police. Cuffed her, took her in a van." The dispatcher paused, voice flat. "Sir, slow down. HOA police? No report here." And I roared. "She's Army. Jess Carter. Check it. They're armed, Moo." She promised a patrol, but I hung up. Useless. Cops too slow. Me too late. I sank to the steps, badge in hand. Her call replaying. Gonna bust out. Jess wouldn't sit quiet. She'd fight, smart and mean, but I couldn't wait. They didn't know her, didn't know she'd led squads, stared down worse. Or me, Tom Carter, quiet carpenter till you cross my line. I'd find her, tear this town apart if I had to, and they'd pay for touching her. Her squad flashed in my mind. Ruiz, her XO, soldiers who'd die for her. I hadn't called them yet, didn't know how, but they'd come, thunder on wheels. These fakes had no clue. They'd regret arresting her, regret meeting me. This was war, and I'd win her back. The porch light buzzed, casting shadows over the splintered doorframe where Jess had fought those fake HOA creeps. I stood there, her dropped badge, HOA police, in my hand, cheap plastic mocking me as the night closed in. She was gone, cuffed, hauled off in a van, her voice still burning in my ears. I'll stall him. Move fast. My carpenter's hands shook, itching to fix this, but I couldn't hammer my way to her. Not yet. Jess was army tough, my rock, and these frauds had snatched her from the life we'd carved together. I wouldn't let it stand. We'd met in high school, me sanding wood in shop class, her strutting by in ROTC gear, all fire and grin. She'd tease me about sawdust in my hair. I'd blush and build her a shelf, and it stuck. Sweethearts through graduation, her enlisting, me apprenticing with old man Hayes. She'd deploy, dusty letters from bases I couldn't pronounce, while I saved every dime, dreaming of a place she'd come home to. 2 years ago, after her last tour, 6 months in some hellhole, she'd picked Meadow Hills. No gates, no rules, just a quiet house with a big yard. My spot, she'd said, boots off, planting herbs by the porch. I'd made it ours, fixed the roof, built her a workbench, and she'd made it home. Jess wasn't soft. 6 years in the reserves, sergeant stripes earned barking at recruits, leading drills with a glare that'd stop a tank. She'd come back from deployments wired, tougher each time. But here, she'd unwind, laugh with me over stew, spar in the yard till I tapped out. You're my piece, Tom, she'd say, kissing me hard, and I'd grin, knowing she'd fight the world but chose me to rest with. Now she was cuffed, her, of all people, and my chest ached, picturing her zip-tied, plotting in some van. I stepped inside, the house too quiet, her mug on the counter, her boots by the door, scuffed from the fight. Those creeps had hit her here, our haven, over a fake $100 fee, and it didn't add up. Meadow Hills had no HOA, never did, county records clean. I checked when we bought it. Jess wanted freedom, not fines, and now this? I sank to the couch, badge in hand, replaying her call. Fake uniforms, guns, sloppy but armed. She'd been blindsided, home on leave, guard down, and they'd pounced. My Jess, who'd faced worse, taken by frauds? It lit a fire I couldn't douse. The tire marks outside gouged the lawn. Deep, frantic, and I found her phone smashed by the steps, screen cracked like she'd dropped it fighting. My throat tightened. She'd called me, risked it, and I hadn't been here. I'd built this place for her, sanded every board, nailed every shingle, to keep her safe, not for some punks to rip her out. Her voice echoed, I'll bust out, and I clung to it, knowing she'd try, but guns? That changed it. She was tough, not bulletproof, and I had to move. Now? I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and dialed her squad's base, Fort Benton, 30 miles off. A gruff voice answered, some desk grunt, and I spilled it. Jess Carter, Sergeant Carter, kidnapped from our house. Fake HOA police, cuffed her, took her in a van. She's on leave. Help me. He paused. No report here. And I roared. She called me. Armed creeps, zip ties. Check it. He muttered about protocol, took my number, we'll pass it up, and hung up. Useless, slow, but her squad, Ruiz, her XO, those soldiers, wouldn't sit on this. They'd come, I hoped. I paced, badge in my fist, my comm cracking. Jess, my soldier, snagged like prey. She'd led missions, trained kids to march, and now this? I saw her, short hair, fierce eyes, smirking as she pinned me in the yard, and my gut twisted. She'd fight, always did, but I couldn't wait for her to break free alone. Those fakes didn't know her, didn't know she'd faced hell and laughed. Or me, Tom Carter, quiet till you took what's mine. I'd built this life with her, wood and nails, sweat and love, and they'd torn it open. The sheriff wouldn't move. 911 was a dud, so I grabbed my keys, hammer on the seat, ready to hunt. Her call replayed. Move fast, and I would, tearing Meadow Hills apart if I had to. Her squad lingered in my mind. Ruiz, boots and rifles, a wall of muscle she'd trained. I'd reach him, somehow, bring her thunder. These creeps had no clue. They'd regret cuffing her, regret meeting me. Our home, our fight. I'd get her back, hammer swinging or not. The night pressed heavy on Meadow Hills, the splintered front door creaking as I paced the porch, Jess's smashed phone in my pocket, her fake HOA police badge burning a hole in my hand. She'd been gone hours, cuffed, hauled off by armed frauds over a $100 lie, and her voice echoed in my skull. Move fast. I'll stall him. My carpenter's calm was ash. I'd called the cops, her squad, gotten nothing but shrugs, and now I stood here, hammer by my side, ready to tear this town apart to find her. They'd taken my wife, my soldier, and I'd make them bleed for it. I stormed to the sheriff's office first, 10 minutes from home, my truck rattling over potholes, headlights slicing the dark. The deputy at the desk was a kid, pimply, bored, barely looking up as I slammed the badge down. My wife, Jess Carter, kidnapped from our house. Fake HOA police, cuffed her, took her in a van, armed, fake badges. She's Army, do something. He blinked, slow, flipping the badge like it was a toy. No HOA here. Sounds weird, but no reports come in. Got proof. Proof. I roared, leaning over the counter, my voice shaking the glass. Her call. They've got guns, zip ties. Tire marks, smashed phone. She fought him. Check it now. He scribbled, shrugging. We'll send a car, but no ID, no rush. And I snatched the badge back, storming out. Useless. Cops too lazy, me too late. Jess was out there, fighting, and I couldn't wait for their pins to move. Back home, I pounded the street, knocking on doors, voice raw. Old man Tate across the way squinted through his screen. Heard yelling. Saw a white van peel out, 2 guys in vests. You're Jess, she hollered. You'll regret this. Feisty as hell. Mrs. Lee nodded, clutching her cat. Saw it too. Big van. Loud, like they didn't care who heard. My gut twisted. Jess, kicking even as they took her, my tough girl. And I ran to the corner store, a hunch burning. They had a security cam, rusty, but pointed right. The clerk, Jimmy, pimply like the deputy, grumbled as I barged in. Need your footage. My wife's gone. Fake cops took her, then went this way. He scratched his head, but my glare worked. He pulled the feed, grainy black and white flickering to life. There, 8:47 p.m., a white van screeched past, Jess in the back window, cuffed, slamming her shoulder at the glass, her mouth yelling silent fury. 2 guys up front, blurry, vests, one with a buzz cut, laughed as they shoved her down. My fists balled, nails biting my palms. Proof. Real, and it lit me up. Copy it. Now. I snapped, shoving my phone at Jimmy. He burned it to a USB, hands shaking. Damn, man, that's nuts. And I clutched it, my lifeline to her. The van's plate flashed. Partial. X9. Not enough, but something. She'd fought. My Jess, soldier to the bone. And I'd find her, hammer or not. I raced home, tires smoking, the clip replaying in my head. Her fire, their smirks, my rage boiling over. My phone buzzed as I hit the driveway. Unknown number, gruff voice cutting through. Tom Carter? Captain Ruiz, Jess's XO, Fort Benton. Got your message. What's this about fake cops? My heart jumped. Her squad, finally. And I spilled it, fast, raw. They nabbed her, fake HOA police, cuffed her at our house, $100 scam. She called. Armed creeps, zip ties, white van. She's stalling, help me. Ruiz growled, all steel. Jess? Our Sarge? Hell no, where is she? Details now. I sent the clip. Van, Jess, X9 plate, my hands shaking as I paced. Meadow Hills, no HOA, pure scam. She's fighting, said she'd bust out. Find her, please, she's yours too. A beat, then, got it, plate's a start. We're rolling. Meet us at your place, 20 minutes. Nobody touches her. The line clicked, and I hooped, fist hitting air. Her squad, her thunder, coming fast. I stood on the porch, hammer in hand, the badge glinting under the light. Jess was out there, tied up, mad as hell, counting on me. And I'd failed her so far, stuck at work while they struck. But Ruiz's voice, rough, ready, lit a spark. Her squad wasn't cops, wasn't slow. They'd fought with her, bled with her, and now they'd fight for her. Those fakes didn't know she'd led drills, faced fire. Or me, Tom Carter, quiet till you stole my world. The street was still, but I felt it. Her fire, their boots, my hammer, closing in. I'd hunt till my hands bled, but her squad was coming. Rifles, grit, a wall of hell for those punks. They'd regret cuffing her, regret crossing us. I'd get her back, home, safe, and they'd run when her military roared in. Headlights cut through the dark as a Humvee roared into my driveway, gravel crunching under its weight. I stood on the porch, Jess's fake HOA police badge in one hand, my hammer in the other, heart pounding since Ruiz's call, her squad, her thunder, here at last. The door slammed open, and Captain Ruiz stepped out, big, grizzled, all muscle and camo, followed by 5 soldiers, rifles slung, eyes sharp like they'd seen war and won. Jess was out there, cuffed, fighting fake cops, and these were her people, my lifeline. The hunt was on, and the scam was about to crack wide open. Ruiz marched up, boots thudding, his glare pinning me. Tom Carter? Show me everything. I handed over the USB, corner store footage of Jess, cuffed in that white van, X9 plate flashing, and the badge, still warm from my grip. They took her, hours ago, fake HOA police, $100 fee scam. She called, armed, sloppy zip ties. She's stalling, fighting, but we've got nothing else. He snatched the drive, plugging it into a rugged laptop one of his crew, short, wiry, called Diaz, set up on the porch. The grainy clip played, Jess slamming the van window, buzzcut punks laughing, and Ruiz's jaw tightened. No HOA in Meadow Hills. County's clean, he growled, eyes flicking to me. This ain't random, organized. Fake badges, guns. Ballsy for frauds. Organized, I said, leaning in, my voice rough. They nabbed Jess, Army Jess, over $100. She's a sergeant, leads your drills, and they got her. My hands shook. Anger, fear, picturing her tied up, plotting while I'd been carving wood. Ruiz nodded, grim. Exactly, makes it personal. We've heard chatter, vets getting hit, fake fines, arrests. Scammers targeting military, easy marks, they think, with cash or pride. He tapped the screen, X9 plate, and barked at Diaz. Trace it. Rental companies, now. Diaz's fingers flew, pulling up records. White van, partial match, leased from a shady outfit in Carson City, tied to scam complaints statewide. I stared, my gut twisting. A ring? Hitting vets like Jess? Why her, why us? Our house flashed in my mind. No HOA, no rules, her herbs by the porch, picked clean for peace, not this. Timing, Ruiz said, crossing his arms. She's on leave, home off guard. They've got intel, watch vets, hit when they're soft. Your clip's gold, plate's a thread. He turned to his squad, big guy named Holt, quiet sharpshooter Lee, 2 others hauling gear, and snapped, load up, industrial parks near Carson, that's their style. We'll pull her out. Intel. I growled, stepping closer. They stalked her. Knew she was alone? I'll kill M. Hammers ready. My fists clenched, the badge digging into my palm. Jess, my tough girl, hunted like prey. Easy, Ruiz said. Hand up, voice hard but steady. You're with us. Eyes, not fists yet. Just want you smart, not dead. She's ours. Nobody messes with Sarge and walks. His crew nodded. Holt cracking knuckles, Lee checking a scope, and I saw it. Loyalty, steel, a wall of muscle she'd forged. My carpenter's grit met their soldiers' fire, and it clicked. I wasn't alone. Diaz piped up, laptop glowing. Got it. Rentals active, Carson City lot, history of lost vans. Complaints match, fake HOA busts, vets mostly, cash grabs. Warehouse districts hot, old spots they squat. Ruiz grunted, pulling a map, red dots blooming, industrial parks circled, and I leaned in, hammering peg to my belt, hope flaring. She called me. I said, voice low. Said they're sloppy, bragging. She's plotting, always does. We've got time, she's stalling. Her face flashed, smirking as she pinned me sparring, and I clung to it, her fight keeping me sane. Ruiz clapped my shoulder, rough but real. That's Jess, tough as nails, buys us hours. We'll hit fast, no red tape, off books. Cops fumble, she's ours to save. His squad moved, gear clanking, rifles checked, and I grabbed my keys, hammer swinging, ready to roll. You drive? He asked, eyeing my truck. Damn right, I said, grinning fierce. Built this life with her, won't lose it. Let on. He nodded, a flicker of respect, and we piled in, Humvee growling beside me, headlights slashing the night. The van's trail, X9, Carson, burned in my head, the badge in my pocket a taunt I'd shoved down their throats. They didn't know Jess, who'd led squads through chaos. Or me, Tom Carter, quiet till you broke my home. Her squad was thunder, rifles, boots, her family, and I was the spark, hammer ready to crack skulls if they faltered. The scam unraveled. Vets targeted, fake arrests, a ring too big for its boots, and we'd shred it. They'd regret cuffing her, regret meeting us. Jess was out there, fighting, and we'd bring her home. The Humvee's rumble shook my bones as I gripped the wheel of my truck, tailing Ruiz and Jess's squad through the dark toward Carson City. The dashboard clock glowed 11:47 p.m., hours since those fake HOA creeps had cuffed her, dragged her from our home, and my hands ached, hammer on the seat, ready to swing. Ruiz's map burned in my mind. Industrial parks, red dots, the white van's trail, X9, and I clung to his growl. She's ours to save. Jess was out there, fighting, stalling, and I'd tear through steel to get her back. Then my phone buzzed, unknown number, and her voice cut through, sharp and alive. "Tom," she whispered, low and fierce, like she was hiding it. "I'm okay, zip-tied, locked in a warehouse. Stole a phone, dumbass left it. 2 others here. Arrested too. Scared, but I'm working him. Bring the thunder. I'll hold him off." "Jess," I barked, swerving, my heart slamming. "Where? Give me something. You hurt." The Humvee ahead flashed brake lights, Ruiz signaling. And I hit speaker, Ruiz's voice growling. "Sarge? Talk now." Bruised, lips bloody, she said, quick, steady. "They roughed me up, 3 guys, armed, sloppy as hell. Bragging, vet bounties, cash grabs. Big room, crates, smells like oil. Old warehouse, maybe Carson. I've got the ties loose, gonna move soon. Hurry, thunder Ruiz." A shout cut in, "Who's that?" And the line died, a click slicing her off. "Jess," I yelled, pounding the wheel, my truck lurching as I floored it. Ruiz's voice crackled through, radio now, his crew patched in. Signals pinging, industrial park, East Carson, 3 miles out. "She's alive, fighting. Move now." The Humvee roared ahead, my tires screaming to keep up, her words blazing. "Bring the thunder." She was hurt, bloody, zip-tied, but kicking, my soldier, and I'd burn the world to reach her. "She's got 2 with her," I said, voice shaking, hammer bouncing beside me. "Trapped, vets maybe. They're hurting people, bragging. I'll smash everyone." "Hold it," Ruiz snapped, calm but steel. "She's stalling, buying time. Warehouse matches, oil, crates, old auto parts district. Signal's tight, we're close. She's loose, she'll fight. Your job's eyes, Tom, not fists yet." His squad rumbled. Holt's growl, Diaz's locked on. And I gritted my teeth, fury boiling, but locked down. Jess needed me sharp, not wild. I saw her, short hair, fierce eyes, smirking as she'd pinned me sparring. Now bruised, plotting in a cage. "Vet bounties," she'd said. "Scum targeting soldiers, her people, for cash." My gut twisted. Our house, her leave, picked clean because she was army, not weak. Her call replayed. "I'll move soon." And I knew her. She'd bust out, fists or feet, but 3 armed frauds. My hands shook. Love, fear, rage, hammer begging to swing. Ruiz pulled off, industrial park looming, rusted signs, dark lots. And I followed, parking behind a crumbling shed. The squad spilled out, rifles up, vests tight. Diaz on his laptop, pinging her call. Half-mile east, big warehouse, lights on, vans out front. My eyes locked, white van, X9 plate, parked sloppy by a chain-link fence, and I growled, "That's them. Jess is there." "Confirmed," Ruiz said, scanning it. 2 guards pacing, fake vests glinting, handguns loose. 3 inside, she said, 5 total. Sloppy, overconfident. "We hit hard. She'll know it's us." He turned to me, eyes hard. "You're with Holt. Back us up, spot her. No cowboy crap. Sarge, kill me if you bleed." "Got it," I said, hammer in hand. Holt's bulk beside me, silent, a wall of muscle. "She's fighting, always does. I'll find her, bring her home." Ruiz nodded, a flicker of trust, and the squad fanned out. Lee on a roof, scope glinting, Diaz cutting the fence, quiet, deadly, her thunder rolling in. I crouched with Holt, peering through the dark, warehouse lights flickering, shadows moving inside. Jess's voice rang. Bring the thunder. And I felt it. Her squad steel wrapping my grit. She'd stalled. Hours, bloody but unbroken, leading two scared vets, plotting escape. My chest swelled. Pride. Panic. She was mine, their Sarge, and we'd rip this cage apart. Ruiz signaled. Hand up, counting down, and I gripped the hammer, breath fast. The guards laughed, clueless, guns dangling like toys. They didn't know Jess, who'd faced fire and laughed, or me, Tom Carter, quiet till you took my heart. Her squad was here, rifles, boots, her family, and I was the spark, ready to swing if they faltered. She'd called, reached me, and we'd answer, thunder loud enough to shake their world. They'd regret cuffing her, regret this night. Jess was close, and we'd pull her free. The warehouse loomed half a mile east, its flickering lights a beacon in the Carson City dark. White van parked out front. X9 plate glinting, the cage holding my Jess. I crouched behind a shed with Holt, her squad's big gunner, my hammer heavy in my hand, heart pounding since her call. Bring the thunder. Ruiz's crew fanned out. Rifles up, vests tight, soldiers off books, no red tape, just steel and fury. She was in there, zip-tied, bruised, fighting, and we were rolling out, her thunder ready to crash. Those fake HOA creeps wouldn't know what hit him. Ruiz knelt by the Humvee, maps spread on the hood, his voice low and sharp. 5 targets, 2 outside, 3 in with Jess and 2 Vics. Sloppy, overconfident, but armed. We hit fast, Lee scopes from the roof. Diaz cuts power, Holt and me breach. Tom, your eyes, spot her. No swinging unless I say. His eyes locked mine, hard, trusting, and I nodded, hammer swinging at my hip, ready but reined. Jess'll fight, I said, voice rough. Said she's loose, leading 2 others. She'll know it's us, won't sit quiet. I saw her, bloody lip, fierce grin, plotting in that cage, my soldier, and my chest tightened. Pride, fear, love. Damn right, Ruiz grunted, clapping my shoulder. Sarge doesn't break, buys us time. You know her. Where's she head? His squad leaned in. Holt silent, Lee adjusting her scope, Diaz wiring a cutter. Eyes on me. A carpenter in their war. I swallowed, thinking fast. Corners. She'd go for cover. Crates if they're there. Watches exits. Always does sparring. Keeps them guessing. She'll stall, talk, rile em, then hit when they blink. Her voice replayed, sloppy, armed, and I added, they're cocky, she'll use it. Ruiz grinned, rare and fierce. That's her, smart as hell. Corners our mark. East wall's got a loading dock, likely spot. He barked orders, Lee climbing high, scope glinting. Diaz slipping to the fence, cutters flashing, and Holt handed me a radio, gruff. Stay close, call her out. I clipped it on, hammer steady, my hands itching to swing, but locked for her. The Humvee rolled slow, lights off, my truck trailing. Engine growling soft as we closed the gap. 2 guards paced out front, fake vests, guns loose, laughing, smoking, clueless. I growled low, picturing Jess's bloody lip, and Holt muttered, easy soon. Ruiz signaled, half-mile to a quarter, then stop, parking us behind a rusted trailer, warehouse hulking ahead, oil and rust thick in the air. Matches her call, I whispered, peering out. Crates stacked by the dock, shadows shifting inside. Oil smell, big room. She's there. My pulse raced. Close, so close. And Ruiz nodded, scanning with binos. Lights on. 3 moving. 1's loud. Bragging, like she said. She's riling him, I said, grinning despite the knot in my gut. Always does. Pokes till they snap, then strikes. I'd felt it. Her pinning me, laughing, and now she'd turned their sloppiness into a trap. Her squad steel-wrapped me. Rifles, vests, eyes like hawks, and I felt it. Thunder, hers and theirs, my spark lighting the fuse. Ruiz grilled me more, voice low. Her habits, how she fight tied up, I thought, sparring, drills she'd taught me. And said, feet. She'd kick, trip him. Hands loose, she'd grab. Anything. A crate edge, a neck. She's fast, mean when cornered. He nodded, impressed, and Holt rumbled. Sounds like Sarge, hell on wheels. Damn straight, I said, hammer tapping my leg. Built our life, she's my fire. Get her out. I'll spot her. Ruiz clapped me again. Rough, real, and the squad moved. Diaz at the power box, Lee's scope glinting, Holt and Ruiz flanking the dock. I stuck with Holt, radio crackling, my eyes locked on that warehouse. Jess inside, fighting, counting on us. The guards lit another smoke. Lazy, dumb, guns dangling like toys. My blood roared. Hours she'd stalled, bloody but unbroken, leading 2 scared souls in there. Ruiz whispered, "Power drops. We go. 10 seconds to breach. Tom, call her when we hit." I gripped the radio, hammer ready, breath fast. Her squad steel, my grit, a storm brewing. They didn't know Jess, who'd faced chaos and smirked, or me, Tom Carter, quiet till you stole my world. Her squad rolled, rifles, boots, her family, and I was with M, hammer swinging if they slipped. She'd called, "Bring the thunder," and we would, loud and hard. The warehouse waited, her cage cracking, and we'd bust it wide. They'd regret cuffing her, regret this night. Jess was mine, their Sarge, and we were coming. The warehouse loomed in the Carson City dark, its flickering lights a cage for Jess, my hammer thumping my leg as I crouched with Holt behind a rusted trailer. Ruiz's squad was coiled. Lee on the roof, scope steady. Diaz at the power box, cutters poised, ready to unleash her thunder. 2 fake HOA guards paced out front, vests glinting, guns loose, laughing like they owned the night. Inside, Jess fought, zip ties loose, bloody but unbroken, stalling 3 armed frauds. Ruiz's voice crackled through my radio. "Power drops, we hit." And I gripped it, breath fast, ready to call her home. Then it struck, and those creeps ran scared. Diaz flipped the switch, lights died, the warehouse plunging black, and Ruiz roared, "Go." The squad surged, Holt and Ruiz charging the dock, rifles up, boots slamming concrete. I bolted with Holt, hammer swinging, radio live as Lee's scope popped, silence shots dropping 1 guard mid-laugh, the other diving for the van, yelling, "What the?" Holt tackled him hard, knee in his back, cuffs snapping tight, fake vest ripping like paper. My heart pounded, outside down, inside next, and I shouted into the radio, "Jess, it's us. Thunder's here." Gunfire cracked inside, loud, wild, and Ruiz kicked the dock door, splintering it wide. Shouts erupted, "Get M!" And I charged in behind Holt, warehouse air thick with oil and panic. Shadows scrambled, 3 fakes, guns waving, crates toppling, and then I saw her. Jess, cornered by the east wall, zip ties off, kicking a buzzcut punk square in the chest. He staggered, cursing, "Stupid bitch." And she grinned, bloody lip shining, snatching his arm to twist him down. "Jess!" I yelled, hammer up, racing through the chaos. A skinny fraud spun, gun shaking, aiming at her, and I swung, hard, cracking his wrist. He screamed, dropping it, and I shoved him to the floor, boot on his neck, "Stay down." Jess's eyes locked mine, fierce, alive, and she nodded. "Took you long enough, babe." Ruiz roared in, rifle barking, stitching the ceiling, 2 fakes diving, guns clattering as Holt pinned one, meaty fist slamming his jaw. The third, bawled, loud, yelled, "We surrender, don't shoot," and dropped, hands up, shaking like a leaf. Jess grabbed a crate edge, steadying herself, and I rushed her, hammer falling, arms wrapping her tight, her blood on my shirt, her breath fast but real. "You're okay," I gasped, holding her face, her lips split, cheek bruised. "They hurt you. I'll kill M." "Already did." She grinned, wincing, nodding at Buzzcut groaning on the floor. "Kicked his ass, ties off in 10 minutes. Told him they'd regret it." 2 others, scared vets, zip-tied, cowered by crates, and she waved. "Helped him. Kept him calm." "Your thunder's loud, Tom." Ruiz stomped over, cuffing Baldy, his voice cutting through. "Who's running this?" "Baldy." "Carl," he sputtered, cracked fast. "Just a hustle. Fake arrests, vet cash. Boss is in Reno. Please, don't shoot." Ruiz growled. "Name now." "Carl me, I swear, small time." And Holt hauled him up, radio buzzing. "Lee's got eyes, clear outside." I held Jess, her weight leaning into me. Tough, but beat. And she smirked, squad still sharp. "Nice swing, Carpenter." I kissed her forehead, relief crashing. Her fire, her fight, mine again. Two vets. Older guy, young woman, stumbled up, freed by Diaz, muttering thanks. She led us, kept us sane, and I saw it. Jess, their Sarge, even caged. Ruiz scanned the mess, guns bagged, fakes down, crates spilling fake badges, cash stacks. 5 down, 3 here, 2 out front. Carl's lying. Reno boss is next. He clapped Jess's shoulder. Good work, Sarge, stalled like a pro. And she nodded, leaning on me, her grin fierce despite the blood. The warehouse stank. Oil, fear, and I stood there, hammer by my feet, Jess in my arms, her squad's thunder echoing. Carl whimpered, cuffed tight. Didn't mean it. And I growled. Shut up, you touched her. Holt dragged him off, the others whining. Fake police, broken now, scam shredded in minutes. Jess squeezed my hand. Home, Tom. Let's go. And I nodded, lifting her chin, her eyes bright. They'd run, scattered when her squad hit. But we'd struck first, thunder loud and true. She'd fought, I'd swung, and her family, Ruiz, Holt, all of them, finished it. They didn't know Jess, or me, or the hell we'd bring. They'd regret cuffing her, regret this cage. She was free, and we'd won. The warehouse air hung thick, oil and sweat mixing with the echo of gunfire, as I held Jess tight, her bloody lip pressed to my shirt, her breath steadying against me. Ruiz's squad stood tall, Holt cuffing Carl, Lee climbing down from her perch, rifles still warm from the strike. 5 fake HOA punks lay scattered, 3 inside, 2 out front, groaning under boots, their scam shredded in minutes. Jess grinned, bruised but unbroken, and whispered, told him they'd regret it. The thunder had hit, her squad, my hammer, and now the aftermath rumbled, justice crashing down hard. Cops rolled in late, sirens wailing, lights flashing, 2 deputies piling out, jaws dropping at the scene. Carl and his goons cuffed, crates spilling fake badges, cash stacks, zip ties. Ruiz stepped up, voice gruff, handing over a duffel, guns, flyers, burner phones bagged tight. Fake HOA police, extortion ring, targeting vets. Caught him mid-arrest. 3 Vics freed. Sergeant Carter led him. The older deputy, gray hair, sharp eyes, nodded, scribbling fast, while the kid from earlier gaped. This your wife? Yeah, I said, arm around Jess, hammer at my hip. Took her from our house, Meadow Hills, no HOA. She fought. Her squad finished it. Jess smirked, leaning into me, bloody, beat, but fierce, and the deputy whistled. Hell of a night. Ruiz grilled Carl, boot on his back, bald, whining, cuffed tight. Talk. Whole operation now. Carl sputtered, sweat beading, statewide, fake arrests, vet fines, $100, $200, whatever they'd pay. Boss in Reno, Vince, runs it, pays us. Jess growled. Vet bounties, bragged about it. And Ruiz yanked him up. Vince who? Spill, or you're done. Vince Toro. Carl yelped, shaking. Big guy, ex-con, Reno warehouse, cash drops. I swear, I'm small time, just muscle. Holt dragged the others. Buzz cut, skinny, whimpering confessions matching. Toro's ring, dozens hit. Vets shaken down for pride or cash. I clenched my fists. Jess targeted. Our home. Hammer itching to swing again, but her hand squeezed mine, steadying me. Enough, Ruiz said, tossing Carl to the deputy. Feds will take it. Reno's next. The cops nodded, radio crackling, calling backup, and I turned to Jess, lifting her chin, her eyes bright despite the bruises. You're safe. Home now, I said, voice thick, and she hugged me hard, ribs creaking, her strength flooding back. Squad still got it, she teased, nodding at Ruiz, grinning rare. Holt clapping her shoulder. That's our Sarge. Kicked ass tied up. Lee smirked, slinging her rifle. Heard you. Regret it. Damn right they did. The 2 vets, older guy Dave, young woman, Tara, stumbled over, freed by Diaz, eyes wide. She kept us calm. Dave rasped. Let us, said help's coming. Tara nodded. Saved us, tough as hell. I grinned, pride swelling. My Jess, their Sarge, unbent, even caged. Always is, I said, kissing her forehead, her blood smearing my lips. Hers again, mine forever. The squad cheered. Rough, loud. Holt's HOA. Echoing, and I felt it. Family, not just hers, but ours, forged in this fight. Deputies hauled the fakes. Carl whining. Didn't mean it. Into vans, evidence piled high. Badges stamped HOA police, cash and rubber bands, a ledger listing vets, names, dates, dollars. Jess pointed. That's their book. Hit me 'cause I'm Army, off duty. Ruiz growled. Toro's list, feds will bury him. A suit rolled up. FBI, badge flashing. Taking it all, promising, Reno by dawn. Rings toast. I led Jess to my truck, her limp slight, arm around me, and she sank into the seat, grinning despite the pain. Your hammer swing. Nice, babe. Squad's thunder. Your spark. Perfect. I laughed, raw and real, starting the engine. Home calling. Her safe beside me. Told you I'd get you. Nobody takes my soldier. Ruiz leaned in, radio buzzing. Feds say Toro's linked. Counterfeit too. You sparked this, Sarge. Busts big. She nodded, tired but fierce. Good. Let him rot. He clapped my shoulder, kept her alive. Tom. Damn fine. And stepped back, squad piling into the Humvee. Mission done. The warehouse faded. Cops swarming, lights flashing. As I drove, Jess's hand in mine, her pulse strong. They'd run, scattered when her squad hit. But we'd won, thunder and hammer breaking their cage. Meadow Hills waited. No fakes, just us. And I grinned, relief deep. They didn't know Jess, or me, or the hell her squad brought. They'd regret cuffing her, regret this fight. The scam was dust, and she was home. The sun climbed slow over Meadow Hills, painting our porch gold as I stirred stew in the kitchen, Jess's favorite, thick with beef and carrots, simmering since dawn. She sprawled on the couch, bruised lips scabbed, ribs taped, grinning at me despite the ache, her army toughness shining through the bandages. 2 days since her squad's thunder busted that warehouse, freed her from those fake HOA creeps. Carl and his goons cuffed, their scam crumbling, and now she was home, safe, ours again. The fight faded, replaced by a glow, her laugh, her squad's boots, a wind that warmed us deep. I'd carried her in that night, her leaning on me, bloody but smirking, cleaned her cuts, fed her soup while she teased, hammer hero, nice swing. She'd slept hard, first time in days without fear, and I'd watched, hammer by the bed, guarding my soldier till morning. Now she stretched, wincing but alive, and called, Smells good, Tom. Don't burn it. I grinned, stirring. Never, babe, and felt it. Peace, hard one, hers and mine. The door banged, Ruiz and the squad piling in, no knock, like family. Holt with a six-pack, Lee slinging her rifle case, Diaz hauling chips. Sarge, Ruiz barked, clapping her shoulder. Gentle, for him. Looking rough, still kick-ass? She laughed, sharp and bright. Damn right, tied up and all. You're late, stew's ready. Blame Holt. Diaz grinned, dumping chips on the table. Big guy drives slow, scared of my shortcuts. Holt grunted, sane, not slow, and plopped beside Jess, cracking a beer, the room filling with their noise. War stories, jabs, a squad's easy rhythm. I dished stew, bowls steaming, and sat by her, her hand finding mine, warm and steady. You're one of us, Tom, Ruiz said, slurping, eyes on me. Hammer swing, kept her alive till we hit. Sarge picked good. I flushed, carpenter, not soldier, but nodded. She's my fight. Always will be. Jess squeezed my hand, damn straight, and Holt raised his beer. To thunder, Tom's spark, our boom. They cheered, rough, loud, and I felt it. Not just her squad, ours, forged in that warehouse fire. Meadow Hills buzzed outside. Tom's grill smoking next door, kids biking free. Mrs. Lee's cat napping on her steps. No fake cops, no fines, just quiet, ours again. Word spread, X lit up. Army wife bust scam. My store clip viral, Jess's fight trending. Folks cheering a soldier's grit and her squad storm. Letters trickled in. Save my vet dad from fakes. Thank you. And I taped one to the fridge, a kid's scrawl. You're heroes. Jess smirked, reading it. Heroes, huh? Just kicked some ass. But her eyes softened, pride there. They hit vets, pride or cash. Thought we'd fold, she said, voice low. Squad showed Tom too. I kissed her hair. You let it, babe. Always do. And she leaned into me, ribs creaking, her glow brighter than the bruises. Ruiz swigged beer, nodding. Feds moved. Reno last night. Toros down. Warehouse raid. Cash. Badges. More names. Carl's singing. Whole rings dust. Lee grinned. Heard he cried. Not my fault. And Holt rumbled. Should have run. Sarge broke him first. Jess laughed. Zip ties off. Foot to chest. Easy. And I saw it. Her fight sparking theirs, a bust bigger than us. The two vets, Dave and Tara, called earlier, voices shaky but strong. Oh, you. Dave rasped. Kept me sane. Thought I'd die there. Tara added. Your steel saved us. Jess shrugged. Just did my job. But I saw her swell. Sarge to the bone. Her squad nodding like it was gospel. I grinned. My wife, their leader, a light in that cage. Night fell. Stu gone. Beer cans piling. And the squad sprawled. Holt snoring. Diaz flicking chips at him. Jess curled into me, voice soft. Home's good. Squad's better with you. I kissed her, slow, real, tasting victory, not blood. Built it for you. Kept it with I said, and she smiled, eyes heavy but warm. Meadow Hills glowed. No shadows, just us. Her squad crashing here, a new crew in my quiet world. They'd run. Fake police scattered when thunder hit, but we'd won. Jess's grit. My hammer, their rifles tearing it down. Letters stacked. Thanks piling. And X hummed. Our fight echoing. She was home, bruised, laughing, mine, and the glow sank deep, a fire no scam could snuff. Winter bid at Meadow Hills, frost glazing the porch as I sanded a crib in the garage, smooth oak, a gift for the kid Jess and I dreamed of, my hammer resting nearby, quiet now. Inside, she drilled her squad. Ruiz barking, Holt hauling gear, her voice sharp again, bruises faded to yellow, strength back in her stride. Weeks had passed since those fake HOA creeps cuffed her. Carl's scam shattered by her squad's thunder. And our home stood solid, no shadows, just us. They'd run when her military hit. And now dawn broke stronger, love and steel unshakable. It started with a fake arrest. Those punks in cheap vests, dragging Jess from our house over a $100 lie, thinking she'd fold. I'd chased her, hammer swinging, heart pounding, till her squad stormed that warehouse, rifles blazing, her grit lighting the way. Carl's crew rotted in jail now. 20 arrests. Toro's Reno ring dust after the feds hit hard. Cash presses smashed. Fake badges burned. X still hummed. Army wife bust scam. Our clip a beacon. Folks cheering a fight that started with her fire and my fear. Jess healed fast. Ribs mending. Lips scarring into a smirk. And I'd swapped late nights for early ones. Home to grill her steaks. Watch her spar in the yard again. The squad stayed close. Ruiz dropping ribs last week. Holt lugging a keg. Lee's quiet grin warming our table. Your crew, Tom, Ruiz had said, slapping my back, hammers honorary. And I'd grinned, sanding boards while they drilled. Their boots my rhythm now. Meadow Hills thrived. Tom's burgers sizzling. Kids racing free. No fines haunting our streets. The feds called yesterday. Sharp voice. All business. Toros pleading. Life sentence. Ring's gone. Your wife's tip broke it. Jess shrugged. Just kicked some ass. But I taped their letter by the fridge, next to a stack from vets. Stopped my scam. Bless you. A guy from Boise wrote. Fakes ran when I showed your clip. And I smiled. Her fight rippling far. A legacy we hadn't chased. Last night, Ruiz crashed in. Ribs steaming, squad trailing. And we ate by the fire, Jess's laugh cutting the chill. Carl cried. Not my fault. Lee smirked, mimicking his whine, and Holt rumbled. Should have seen Sarge. Zip ties off, foot in his gut. Jess leaned into me. Tom's swing sealed it. And I kissed her, smoke curling, her hand strong in mine. Built this for you. I said, kept it with and she nodded, eyes warm. Our home, our win. Ruiz raised a rib. To thunder, Sarge's steel, Tom's spark, and they cheered, rough and real. Holt's HOA, shaking the walls. I saw it. Her squad, my family, forged in that warehouse bust. Dave and Tara's thanks still echoing. Vets she'd led in the dark. You're stuck with us, Diaz grinned, tossing a bone, and I laughed. Good. Keeps her out of trouble. Jess elbowed me. Fat chance. And the fire glowed, no shadows left. Meadow Hills woke today, frost sparkling, kids sledding, Mrs. Lee's pie on our step, and I finished the crib, sanding slow, Jess's drill cadence in the background. She strode out, camo jacket, smirk sharp, checking my work. Not bad. Carpenter, kid'll like it. I pulled her close. Our kid. Tough like you. And she kissed me, hard and warm, her strength my anchor. X buzzed, posts piling. Fake HOA gone. Thanks, Sarge. And letters stacked, a vet scrawl. You saved my peace. I tucked it away, grinning. She'd sparked it, her squad swung, and I'd held the line. Carl's crew regretted cuffing her. Toro's empire rued her thunder, and Meadow Hills stood free, wild lawns and loud grills ours again. I'd built this life, wood and nails, sweat and love, and they tried to break it, but we burned them down. Jess joined me, fire crackling, her head on my shoulder, and I set the hammer aside, crib gleaming, dawn climbing slow. Stronger now, she murmured, hand on mine, and I nodded, feeling it. Her steel, my spark, a squad's bond no scam could touch. A knock once meant fear, now it was Ruiz, ribs in hand, or kids with sleds. Peace glowed, ours earned, and I smiled, a quiet victory, love and fight carved deep. Hey, it's Tom, Jess's carpenter here. Thanks for sticking with us. From those fake HOA punks cuffing her to her squad's thunder tearing him down. You've been unreal. Millions watching, cheering, sending letters that kept us strong. Couldn't have fought this without you. If you love Jess kicking ass and her crew busting scams, hit that like button, subscribe for more, maybe just crib builds now, and drop a comment. Got a scam story? Spill it. Let's keep him running. Share this with anyone fighting fakes. Stay tough, grill loud, and catch you from Meadow Hills.